If I didn't know any better, I'd say Kia may very well have pulled off the ultimate auto industry heist. Because with this new Seltos, it somehow convinced sister brand Hyundai to let it use the mechanical underpinnings of the fantastic Kona, only it stuck a way more useful body on top. Mark my words, folks, you might just be looking at the best little crossover on the market right now. Okay, let me just clear something up right off the top, just in case there are any sensitive fans out there watching. The Hyundai Kona is still a great little crossover, and I'm not here to discourage anyone from buying one. But here's the problem. If practicality ranks anywhere on your list of reasons to buy one of these things, it's hard to recommend the Kona over the Seltos. That's the thing. It's not irrelevant, it's just not quite as relevant as this thing when it comes to usefulness. All the reasons we named the Kona our 2020 subcompact crossover of the year still apply, but the thing about the Seltos is it takes all that good stuff and wraps it up in a package that makes up for the Kona's few shortcomings. So let's talk about some of that good stuff. It starts with this platform. It's the same one that the Kona is built on. The wheelbase is a little bit longer and the overall length is just a little bit longer, but it is the same foundation. And the same goes with the motor under the hood of this thing. I'm driving the SX Turbo model, and that means it's got the 1.6 liter turbocharged engine from the top of the line Kona trims. Ride quality is a little rigid, but this has got to be one of the best little crossovers on the market to drive. And I'd put it right up there with the Mazda CX-30 I reviewed not too long ago when it comes to agility. It's actually fun to drive, and that's not a common trait in a vehicle like this. Since you already watched that CX-30 review and subscribed to Autotrader.ca's YouTube channel, you know that the same rule applies here. I know not many people are shopping in this segment for something that's fun to drive, but it is kind of nice to have a dynamic little crossover that's agile, and it's not just about fun, it's about safety too. It's nice to know that this thing is going to be responsive in case you have to make an evasive maneuver out on the road. I know that's not something you often think about ahead of time, but just think about it. If you're driving, you want to know that you're going to be able to make a quick maneuver and it's going to respond as quickly as you need it to, and you're going to be able to feel exactly what's happening when you turn the wheels. You want to know which way the wheels are pointed and when, so that when you make an evasive maneuver, you know that when you point the wheels back into the direction you want to go, that they're actually pointing that way and it's not a bunch of guesswork. This steering setup is direct and responsive, and there's a good amount of weight to it as well. And just like the CX-30, there's some stiffness, but it's a different kind of rigidity. Whereas that one's in the suspension components, this feels like it's platform rigidity. I know that might seem a little bit weird, but it has nothing to do with the suspension. That does a great job of soaking up most bumps out here on these country roads. They're pretty cracked and there's a lot of broken pavement out here, but you don't feel much of it. But what you will notice is that it's very stiff, especially when it comes to lateral rigidity. It's just pretty flat through corners. That's not necessarily a complaint, but it is different compared to most crossovers out there. Now, something else to point out, since I am talking about all the ways it's related to the Kona, there is more ground clearance in this thing. It's only about 15 millimeters taller, but in a crossover like this, every little bit counts. And that is one thing that people do get hung up on with that crossover. So if you're looking for something like that, but with a little bit more height, this has got your back. And now let's talk about that turbocharged engine. It's a 1.6 liter, and it is one of the best engines in the marketplace when it comes to subcompact crossovers like this. It's got 175 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque to work with, which is the perfect amount of output for a vehicle this size. There's a reason why Kia uses it in the Forte and Hyundai uses it in the Elantra. It's perfect for moving this kind of weight, and it's nice and responsive too. There's not much turbo lag, and all that torque kicks in at just 1500 RPM. So when you get your foot into the gas, you can really feel it take off. Where it's most responsive is obviously when you flick it into sport mode down here on the console. That just gives you a little bit more throttle response, and it holds the gears a little bit longer. Now, a complaint I had about the Kona that also applies here, there are no paddle shifters, and I just don't get that at all. You can move the shifter over to the left and into a manual mode, but I'd much rather have paddles on the steering wheel so that I can drop a gear or two on the highway when I need to pass someone, but there is tons of passing power. And that's what I like about this power plant. There's tons of power on the highway, and it's peaky enough that when you're around town and you want to launch hard off the line, let's say if your lane is ending, well, it can do that too. My only real complaints about this powertrain really come down to the transmission. Now, it's a 7-speed dual clutch automatic, and it's plagued by some of the common issues that are complained about when it comes to this type of transmission, especially the one built by the Hyundai Group. It can just feel a little bogged down at times when you let off the brakes and start to roll under its own power before you get on the gas pedal. The other thing is, certain gears do feel a little bit apprehensive to hook up, like when you shift it into reverse. When you first put it into reverse and just tap the gas, nothing happens before it finally engages, and it can be pretty unnerving. But the good thing is it usually knows what to do, especially when you're moving at speed. It'll downshift at the right times when you go to pass someone on the highway, and that's about all you could ask for. And one thing's for sure, it is way better than any continuously variable transmission out there. Unless you're talking about the base Seltos, all trims come with all-wheel drive, and like most subcompact crossovers, it is a front bias system. So it sends power to the front wheels outside of certain circumstances, like when you're accelerating off the line or if it detects slippage at either of the front wheels. And it is a pretty good system overall. It knows where to shuffle power and when. But the cool thing is it has this all-wheel drive lock button down here on the console. So if you're in a low traction environment like a light trail or a snowy driveway, you can hit that button and it'll engage all-wheel drive until you turn it off. It's very cool that you can do that, and it's something that's not common in crossovers like this. Now, assuming you leave that button alone, this thing is actually pretty efficient. Obviously, the base naturally aspirated 2-liter engine is going to burn just a little less gas, but even this turbo model is pretty good at the pumps. You should see yourself averaging around 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers in most circumstances, though it is possible to get it down lower than that. And I've been hovering right around 8 liters per 100 this week, which is pretty close to the combined average that Enercan gives this thing of 7.9 liters per 100 kilometers. Those are all the ways that this thing is a lot like the Kona, but where it really starts to forge its own path is when you look at the space you get inside. I mean, I'm a pretty tall guy, so I really appreciate all the headroom you get in here, but it's more than that, and this thing feels big by every interior measure in both rows of seats. Just look at me back here. I've got more than enough space, and there's no trickery going on. This is my normal driving position, yet there's enough room for me to sit back here comfortably. And this seat can lean back further for just a little bit more space and comfort. 4 adults can fit in here, no problem, and it's a lot like the Kia Soul in terms of interior packaging. But where it really separates itself from that thing too is when you look behind the hatch. Look, you can't make this stuff up, and there is so much room back here. What I really like about it is that the Seltos doesn't prioritize passenger space over cargo volume. So if you need room to take your friends up to the cottage for the weekend or head out to the beach for a day with the family, it's got room for both, but it delivers that in a very small package. I really think you're going to appreciate the way this all comes together. You know, none of this is exactly new information about the Kona, but it's still worth talking about because I absolutely love driving that thing. But I'm getting the same kind of performance, feel, and dynamics here with the added bonus of a ton of room for people and stuff in the back. And that to me is what a subcompact crossover is all about. And here's where Kia's designers deserve a ton of credit, because they've taken a pretty basic overall shape, but made it very stylish and practical. So many little crossovers like this try to overdo it with quirky designs like the Toyota CHR or the Kona, but then they come up short in terms of space. There's not a ton of headroom, and there's almost no cargo area that's useful. But in this thing, you get the best of both worlds. It's very stylish, but it's also very practical. And I love the look of this thing. Now, some people have commented this week that it's pretty boring, but I personally like the styling, especially with this SX Turbo trim. It's got just enough cool accents to make it stand out, especially with this yellow paint. But I love the door handles, I love the roof rails, and these wheels are awesome. I also love the daytime running lights that extend across into the grille to just give it that extra character. The interior suffers a little bit in that regard, and I do wish there was a little bit more to punch it up in here, especially when you look at the Kona. The one I drove last year that had the red exterior paint, well, it had some cool red accents inside to match. Whereas this thing, well, it settles for silver and black instead. And I do wish you could get some colorful accents to help it pop and really set it apart, because that would make this space perfect. So let's talk about some of the stuff you get in here. In upgraded models, you get this massive 10.25-inch touchscreen, and it is amazing. The resolution is great, it's really crisp, the colors are bright, and it's plenty responsive. It also allows you to run a full widescreen Apple CarPlay format, which is something that didn't happen in the Mercedes GLC I reviewed not too long ago, and that was a major disappointment. But I love that you can display your entire map across this screen. It's great, but the cool thing is you can split about a third of it off to run some separate information. So if you want to have your music up on the main display but use the built-in navigation system on the right-hand side of the screen, you can do that too. The infotainment interface itself is pretty much identical to the one you can get in the Kona, but this screen is really what sets the two apart. And if you want a big screen like this in a Kona, you're going to have to wait until the 2022 model year version comes out. Until then, the biggest one you can get is 8 inches. Now, I know that seems like a weird sticking point, but in my opinion, if you're going to shell out for one of these, don't you want the best one you can buy? And again, this is one thing that makes the Seltos better than the Kona, because it's the newer of the two. But even when that new one comes out, it's not going to deliver the kind of space you get in here. And the same thing applies to comfort features. Right now, this is the only one of the two that you can get with heated and ventilated front seats, a heated steering wheel, and heated rear seats. Once again, those are all things that really help elevate this thing and set it apart from the competition. This is about the only crossover of any size you can get with all those comfort features outside of a luxury model. And that, to me, is what sets this thing apart. It's the old Kia trick: throw everything you possibly can at it and charge a reasonable price. It's also got a head-up display, though it is one of those cheap, flimsy plastic ones, and it's got a great stereo system too. I also love these textured speaker covers. Just one more way this thing stands apart. Looking at the list of features, about the only thing I think Kia skimped out on in here is real leather upholstery. Instead, it's stuck with this synthetic stuff that feels a little bit plasticky, and it's not really in keeping with the rest of the high-dollar items you get in here, like those comfort features, like this stereo, and this great infotainment system. There's also that head-up display I talked about and built-in navigation, so you've got it all and then some. So let's talk about advanced safety features. Now, this loaded model gets them all. You've got lane keep assist, automatic emergency braking up front, adaptive cruise control, you name it. But one thing I will point out is it doesn't all come standard. Yeah, stuff like blind spot monitoring is in the base model, but any of that other stuff, you've got to step up to one of the higher trims, which is a bit of a shame, especially considering Toyota and Honda are throwing their advanced safety systems in every trim of every vehicle. Brands like Kia are really coming up short because it's decided not to include those in their more affordable trims. Then again, it's not like you're going to have to spend a ton on the Seltos to begin with. The cheapest version is 23 grand before fees and taxes, but that's for a front-wheel drive model. To add all-wheel drive is going to cost you another $2,000, or you could just spend $27,500 to get all-wheel drive in the EX model and all the advanced safety systems except for adaptive cruise control. If you want that, you're going to have to step up to the EX Plus or this SX trim. And you know, the features lists are pretty similar between those two. You get this great infotainment system, a wireless phone charger, these heated and ventilated front seats, and those heated rear seats. But this SX model really is where it's at, because you get all those features plus a few others to help set it apart, like this head-up display, 18-inch wheels, and rain-sensing wipers. But it's also got that great 1.6-liter turbocharged engine under the hood that makes this thing an absolute blast to drive, something you're probably not expecting in a little crossover like this, but it's nice to have nonetheless. If you're looking at the EX Plus model, it's going to set you back $30,595 before fees and taxes are added, and then it's $2 grand more to get this SX Turbo model, and I say that's money well spent, because you're getting a bunch of extra features, but most importantly, what's under the hood is well worth the price of admission. And if you look at it compared to others out there on the market, it's a downright bargain. That's only a few $100 more than the most expensive Kona you can buy, but you get extra features like these heated and ventilated front seats and those heated rear seats. You can't get those in the Kona, and there's a ton of extra space in here. If you look at it next to that CX-30 I drove not too long ago, that thing's about $1,000 more than this, and then there's the Subaru Crosstrek that's $2,000 more for the most expensive trim. To recap, I like how spacious the Kia Seltos is, as well as all the features it comes with and the SX trim's 1.6-liter engine. I don't like the flimsy head-up display, the way the transmission behaves, or the fact it doesn't come with paddle shifters. Look, the Kona's always gonna hold a special place in my heart, but when it comes to my wallet, I just can't see myself choosing one over this new Seltos. And come to think of it, if my money were on the line, I can't see myself buying any other subcompact crossover. Don't get me wrong, there are some great ones out there, including that Kona, but the way this thing packs so many great features in such a usable package is tough to beat.